Becoming rich fast is not about escaping work. It is about escaping work that leaves no evidence behind. Poor men are taught that if they suffer long enough, someone will notice. But the market does not reward your exhaustion. It rewards proof, access, scarcity, and ownership. You can be disciplined for 12 hours a day and still stay invisible if every hour disappears into another man's system. No portfolio, no audience, no client pipeline, no asset, no public result that makes your value harder to deny. And the opposite trap is just as dangerous, chasing shortcuts, fake status, and fast money before you have real leverage. The move is colder. Build one scarce skill, prove it publicly, put it in front of buyers. Then turn repeated effort into something you own. Hard work keeps you useful. Leverage makes you difficult to replace. You can see this law in Andrew Carnegie. He did not stay a bobbin boy forever. He moved from labor to skill, from skill to access, from access to capital, and from capital to ownership. You can see it again in Yan Koum. WhatsApp was not fake status. It was proof at scale. Skill became product. Product became users. Users became strategic value. Different eras. Same law. Labor becomes power only when it turns into skill, proof, distribution, or ownership. But here is the question most men avoid. If you are working so hard, why are you still so easy to ignore? Not because you are lazy, not because you lack ambition, not because you have no pain. The problem is colder than that. Your effort has no witnesses. Your skill has no proof. Your value has no distribution. Your work disappears into systems that use your strength but do not increase your power. You give your best hours to another man's machine, then wonder why the machine becomes stronger while you stay dependent on it. This is where Machiavelli becomes useful. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few really know what you are." That line is not only about politics, it is about money, it is about reputation, it is about status, it is about how the world decides who deserves access, trust, opportunity, and power. People do not reward the man they secretly suspect is capable. They reward the man whose value is visible. This is brutal if you have been raised to believe that quiet suffering is noble. It is even more brutal if you have spent years thinking that loyalty, patience, and silent discipline would eventually force the world to notice you. The world is not watching your private struggle with the attention you imagine. Your family sees your past. Your friends see your current rank. Your employer sees your usefulness. The market sees only what you can prove. That is the hidden mechanism. Wealth does not move toward pain. Wealth moves toward proof. Until you understand this, you can work harder than everyone around you and still remain replaceable. You can be the reliable man, the serious man, the disciplined man, the one who never complains, the one who handles pressure, the one people call when something needs to be done. And still, someone louder, better positioned, better connected, or simply more visible can walk away with the credit, the promotion, the client, the opportunity, or the money. That is not always fair. But power does not ask whether reality is fair. Power asks whether you understand the rules before the rules punish you. The price of missing this game is not small. You lose years. You lose energy. You lose bargaining power. You become the reliable man everyone uses, but nobody fears losing. You become the man who solves problems in private while louder men collect public credit. You become loyal to systems that profit from your lack of alternatives. And the worst part is this: you may start believing your own exhaustion is evidence of progress. It is not. Exhaustion is not proof. Stress is not proof. Being busy is not proof. A full calendar is not proof. A tired body is not proof. A private dream is not proof. If your work does not create a visible result, a valuable skill, a stronger reputation, a buyer pipeline, an owned asset, or more control over your time, then your labor is disappearing. That is the trap. Poor men are not only poor because they lack money. Many stay poor because they misunderstand what money follows. Money follows leverage. And leverage begins when your effort stops dying at the end of the day. Before we go deeper, do one thing seriously. Write down the answer to this question. If you stopped working for 30 days, what would keep producing value? Would your content keep bringing attention? Would your portfolio keep proving your ability? Would your client pipeline keep creating opportunity? Would your reputation keep speaking before you enter the room? Would your product keep selling? Would your systems keep operating? Would your investments keep growing? Would your email list, your audience, your business process, your owned asset, or your public proof keep working without your constant physical presence? If the answer is nothing, then you are not building wealth yet. You are only surviving through effort. And effort alone is a fragile kingdom. Andrew Carnegie understood this before he ever became powerful. He was not born into an empire. His family came from Scotland to America under financial pressure. As a young man, he worked as a bobbin boy, then became a messenger for a telegraph company. Low status, little money, no inherited crown, no soft beginning. But Carnegie did not remain trapped at the level of raw labor. He learned the telegraph system. Then he turned skill into access. Access placed him near information. Information placed him near opportunity. Opportunity moved him toward railroads, bridges, steel, and eventually ownership. His first proof was not luxury. It was not a rented image. It was not motivational language. It was competence inside a system that mattered. He became useful in a place where useful information moved fast. And once he gained access, he did not worship the position. He used the position as a bridge. That is what separates the strategic man from the hard-working man. The hard-working man asks, "How do I keep this job?" The strategic man asks, "What does this job teach me? Who does it place me near? What skill does it sharpen? What proof can I extract from it? What door does it reveal?" Carnegie did not become rich by remaining the hardest working boy in the room forever. He became rich by moving from labor to skill, from skill to access, from access to capital, and from capital to ownership. That is leverage. Now look at Jan Koum, the co-founder of WhatsApp. Koum came to the United States from Ukraine as a teenager. His family lived under real financial pressure. He was not handed a smooth path, a famous family, or a polished social identity. He built technical skill. He worked at Yahoo. Then, with Brian Acton, he created WhatsApp. The first proof was not money. The first proof was a product people used. A simple messaging app. No fake luxury, no loud status, no rented identity. Just a tool that solved a painful communication problem at scale. Then Facebook bought WhatsApp in a deal reported at $19 billion. The lesson is not, build an app and become a billionaire. That is childish thinking. The real lesson is colder. Koum turned skill into product, product into users, users into strategic value into ownership wealth. This is the game poor men miss. They chase money before they build leverage. They chase respect before they build proof. They chase freedom before they build something the market cannot easily ignore. And this is why the phrase, "how to become rich fast," is dangerous. The weak mind hears it and thinks, shortcut. The strategic mind hears it and thinks, compression. Compress learning through feedback. Compress trust through proof. Compress sales through distribution. Compress execution through systems. Compress dependency through savings and ownership. That is the difference between fast money and fast leverage. Fast money can disappear because it was never attached to a structure. Fast leverage compounds because each move strengthens the next move. A man with fast money but no skill is only temporarily lucky. A man with attention but no proof is only temporarily loud. A man with opportunity but no discipline is only temporarily invited. A man with capital but no judgment is only temporarily rich. But a man with skill, proof, distribution, systems, and ownership is becoming difficult to remove from the game. So what is leverage? Leverage is when one unit of your effort creates more than one unit of result. Work is your direct effort. Skill is your ability to produce value. Proof is evidence that your skill works. Distribution is your ability to put that proof in front of buyers, clients, employers, or an audience. Ownership is when the value you create does not fully belong to someone else. And leverage is the force that multiplies all of it. A man with no leverage must keep proving himself from zero every day. He wakes up and starts again from nothing. No asset speaks for him. No proof travels ahead of him. No system carries momentum. No reputation opens doors. No audience trusts him before he asks. No savings give him the power to refuse disrespect. No owned machine continues producing when he is tired. That man may be disciplined, but he is exposed. One bad month can humble him. One job loss can trap him. One broken relationship can destabilize him. One employer can control him. One client can threaten his income. One platform can erase him if he built nothing beyond the platform. A man with leverage is different. His portfolio speaks. His case studies speak. His audience speaks. His client results speak. His reputation speaks. His systems speak. His savings speak. His ownership speaks. Before he enters the room, evidence enters first. This is why Machiavelli wrote that men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. In modern terms, people judge visible signals before they verify substance. You may hate that. But hating reality does not change reality. If your value is invisible, it will often be treated as non-existent. If your work is buried inside another man's machine, do not be surprised when another man receives the power. Hard work matters. But hard work without visibility is weak positioning. Hard work without ownership is dependency. Hard work without proof is a private religion. You worship the hours. The market worships results. This is where many men become angry because they feel the unfairness before they understand the mechanism. They say, "I know I am capable." Maybe you are. But capability without evidence is only a private opinion. They say, "I work harder than most people." Maybe you do. But effort without position can be harvested by someone else. They say, "I deserve more." Maybe you do. But the market does not pay what you deserve. The market pays what it can see, trust, use, distribute, and scale. This is not comfort. This is the law. And once you stop fighting the law emotionally, you can start using it strategically. There are 5 forms of leverage you must understand. First, skill leverage. This is your ability to solve problems few people can solve well. Sales. Coding. Artificial intelligence automation. Copywriting. Deal-making. Operations. Design. Finance. Content distribution. A valuable trade. Anything tied to revenue, speed, risk reduction, attention, efficiency, status, or urgent pain. Skill leverage gets you paid because it makes your effort scarce. But skill alone is not enough. A skilled man nobody can verify is still easy to doubt. Second, proof leverage. This is evidence, screenshots, testimonials, case studies, before and after results, public projects, a portfolio, a track record, a visible pattern of competence. Proof is what converts doubt into trust. For the unsupported man, proof matters more than encouragement. Encouragement makes you feel seen for a moment. Proof makes you harder to dismiss. Third, media leverage. This is writing, YouTube, newsletters, short-form content, public thinking, documented work, and useful ideas distributed at scale. Media lets one idea reach thousands while you sleep. For the unsupported man, media is not vanity, it is distribution. It is a road between your proof and the people who need to see it. Without distribution, your value remains trapped in the dark. Fourth, system leverage. Processes, templates, automation, repeatable offers, delegation, workflows, checklists, operating rhythms. Anything that allows repeated effort to become faster, cleaner, and less dependent on your mood. A man without systems must constantly restart himself. A man with systems can continue even when emotion is weak. System leverage turns discipline into architecture. Fifth, ownership leverage. Equity, business, products, intellectual property, investments, owned audience, owned systems, owned brand. Ownership means the machine finally begins working for you. The poor man sells hours. The strategic man builds proof. The powerful man owns the machine. And this does not mean everyone becomes a billionaire. That is not the point. The point is to stop being trapped in a life where every financial gain requires another sacrifice of your time, your energy, your dignity, or your self-respect. The point is to stop living as a man whose only economic weapon is endurance. Endurance is useful, but endurance without leverage becomes a cage. A strong back can still carry another man's empire. A sharp mind can still disappear inside another man's brand. A loyal employee can still become replaceable when the numbers change. A hard-working freelancer can still starve if nobody sees the proof. A disciplined creator can still fail if he has no distribution. A skilled operator can still remain underpaid if he has no bargaining power. This is why leverage is not a luxury. Leverage is protection. Leverage protects your time. Leverage protects your options. Leverage protects your reputation. Leverage protects your future self from being forced to beg from a position of weakness. But now comes the harder question. If leverage is so obvious, why do so many ambitious men avoid it? Because leverage exposes you. Selling exposes rejection. Publishing exposes judgment. Negotiating exposes status anxiety. Building a business exposes incompetence. Investing exposes ignorance. Creating public proof exposes the gap between who you claim to be and what you can actually produce. That is why many men retreat into hard work. Hard work feels morally safe. Nobody can accuse you of being lazy if you are always tired. Nobody can laugh at your ambition if you keep it hidden. Nobody can reject your offer if you never make one. Nobody can judge your work if you never publish it. Nobody can measure your skill if you never place it in front of the market. So the man stays busy. He calls it discipline. But sometimes it is fear wearing discipline's clothing. Hard work can become a hiding place for men afraid to be measured. That line should disturb you if it is true, because it means your exhaustion may not be proof of courage. It may be proof that you found a socially acceptable way to avoid exposure. You can tell yourself you are waiting until you are ready. You can tell yourself you need more knowledge. You can tell yourself the timing is wrong. You can tell yourself the market is saturated. You can tell yourself nobody supports you. Some of that may be true, but none of it removes the law. The man who builds proof becomes harder to ignore. The man who refuses proof stays trapped inside his own explanation. And explanation is cheap. Proof is expensive. Proof costs embarrassment. Proof costs repetition. Proof costs the death of fantasy. Proof tells you where you are weak. It says your offer is unclear. Your skill is average. Your communication is soft. Your positioning is invisible. Your understanding of the market is shallow. Your discipline is inconsistent. Your audience does not trust you yet. Your work is not as valuable as your private identity wants it to be. Most men cannot tolerate that mirror, so they go back to effort. Effort lets them suffer without being corrected. But the unsupported man cannot afford delusion. He has no inheritance of trust. He has no powerful family reputation protecting him. He has no rich uncle sending opportunity. He has no room full of people prepared to explain his value for him. He must make reality speak, and reality only speaks through evidence. That is why feedback is not an insult. It is intelligence. A rejected offer is intelligence. A failed post is intelligence. A silent audience is intelligence. A lost client is intelligence. A weak sales call is intelligence. A product nobody buys is intelligence. A portfolio nobody respects is intelligence. A business that does not survive is intelligence. If your ego is soft, this intelligence feels like humiliation. If your mind is strategic, this intelligence becomes a map. The market is not trying to comfort you. The market is showing you where your leverage is still weak. Machiavelli wrote, "The prince who relies entirely on fortune is lost when it changes." That sentence should be carved into the mind of every man chasing fast money. If your plan depends on luck, you are relying on fortune. If your plan depends on hype, you are relying on fortune. If your plan depends on being discovered, you are relying on fortune. If your plan depends on one employer, one client, one platform, one income stream, one skill, or one emotional burst of motivation, you are relying on fortune. And when fortune changes, you fall. This is why shortcuts are seductive. They offer wealth without identity change. They promise money without proof. They offer status without skill. They offer freedom without structure. They let a weak man imagine victory without becoming the kind of man who can hold victory. That is why shortcuts destroy men. Because a man who gets money before he builds discipline usually loses the money. A man who gets attention before he builds character becomes addicted to attention. A man who gets opportunity before he builds competence gets exposed by the opportunity. A man who gets access before he builds judgment wastes the access. A man who gets a platform before he builds substance becomes a performer with nothing to say. Fast money without leverage is not power. It is a test, and most men fail it. Not because money is evil, not because ambition is wrong, but because anything acquired faster than your identity can handle becomes pressure. If your habits are weak, money amplifies weakness. If your judgment is weak, opportunity amplifies confusion. If your ego is weak, attention amplifies insecurity. If your discipline is weak, freedom amplifies chaos. This is why fast wealth must be built on fast leverage, not fast fantasy. Compression is not skipping the work. Compression is making the work produce evidence faster. You compress learning through feedback. You compress trust through proof. You compress sales through distribution. You compress execution through systems. You compress dependency through savings and assets. You compress status by becoming visibly useful in a valuable arena. You compress opportunity by placing your proof where buyers, clients, employers, partners, or audiences can actually see it. This is not motivation. This is construction. Even business ownership is not fantasy. It is pressure with ownership attached. Federal Reserve data shows that families owning businesses with employees tend to have much higher average net worth than families that do not own businesses. But the same reality also carries more income uncertainty. That is the part motivational content hides. Ownership can create wealth. Ownership also creates risk. Business is not an escape from pressure. Business is pressure with a claim on the upside. BLS data shows that only about a third of United States private sector business establishments born in 2013 were still operating in 2023. Look at that clearly. Most businesses do not survive forever. Most offers do not sell immediately. Most products do not become WhatsApp. Most men are not Carnegie. But that does not weaken the principle. It strengthens it. Because the lesson is not to romanticize entrepreneurship. The lesson is to build leverage in order. Skill first, proof second, distribution third, cash flow fourth, systems fifth, ownership sixth. Most men want to skip to ownership because ownership sounds powerful. They want the business. They want the title. They want the brand. They want the image. They want to say they are founders, investors, creators, operators, entrepreneurs. But ownership without skill is fragility. Ownership without proof is fantasy. Ownership without distribution is silence. Ownership without systems is self-employment with a prettier name. And ownership without cash discipline is a trap wearing the mask of freedom. A man who cannot sell should be careful calling himself a business owner. A man who cannot communicate value should be careful chasing an audience. A man who cannot create proof should be careful demanding trust. A man who cannot handle rejection should be careful chasing leverage, because leverage magnifies what you are. If you are disciplined, it magnifies discipline. If you are confused, it magnifies confusion. If you are valuable, it magnifies value. If you are pretending, it exposes the performance. So here is the leverage stack. This is the practical map. Not a fantasy, not a slogan, not a promise that life becomes easy. A sequence. Step 1. Choose one high-value skill. Not a random skill. Not a skill that makes you feel intelligent. Not a skill you chose because it sounds impressive. A skill the market already pays for. Ask yourself with brutal honesty, does this skill help someone make money, save time, reduce risk, gain attention, improve health, improve status, or solve urgent pain? If the answer is no, it may still be interesting. But interest is not leverage by itself. A man can spend years becoming good at something nobody urgently wants. That is not dedication, that is misallocated strength. Choose a skill tied to economic weight. Sales, because every business needs revenue. Copywriting, because persuasion moves markets. Coding, because code can scale execution. Artificial intelligence automation, because businesses want speed and efficiency. Operations, because chaos destroys profit. Design, because presentation affects trust. Finance, because capital must be understood before it is multiplied. Content distribution, because attention is the entrance to opportunity. A valuable trade, because real-world problems still need skilled hands. Deal-making, because access and negotiation shape wealth. Do not worship the list. Understand the principle. The market pays for pain removed, risk reduced, money made, time saved, status increased, attention captured, or systems improved. Step 2. Apply that skill to one painful market problem. Do not serve everyone. A scattered man becomes invisible. Pick a problem with economic weight. Businesses want more customers. Creators want more attention. Professionals want more status. Customers want speed, certainty, convenience, transformation, or relief. The mistake many men make is choosing a skill in isolation. They learn something, then ask, "Who wants this?" That is backwards. Look at pain first. Then choose the skill that solves it. Pain creates urgency. Urgency creates demand. Demand creates payment. Payment creates proof. Proof creates leverage. If there is no urgent pain, you are trying to sell a vitamin in a room full of men looking for surgery. Step 3. Create public proof every week. A case study. A breakdown. A before and after. A result. A process. A lesson learned. A small win. A client improvement. A failed experiment with a clear lesson. A public project. A useful analysis. A demonstration. Proof does not have to be perfect. It has to be visible. Too many men wait until they are impressive before they show their work. That is another trap. Public proof is not only for showing success. Public proof is how you become the kind of man who creates success. It disciplines your thinking. It exposes weak communication. It forces you to define value. It makes your progress searchable. It gives people something to trust. It creates a trail. And a trail matters. Because when opportunity looks at you, it does not want your private feelings. It wants a trail of evidence. Step 4. Build one distribution channel. YouTube, LinkedIn, X, cold email, a newsletter, a portfolio, a community, a referral system, a local network, a search engine presence, a targeted outbound process. Do not worship the platform. Use the platform as a road between proof and opportunity. The platform is not your identity. The platform is a road. If the road changes, you adapt. But if you have no road, your proof stays buried. This is where unsupported men often become bitter. They say, "I am good, but nobody sees me." Then you ask, "Where are you distributing your proof?" And there is silence. They have no channel, no cadence, no offer, no audience, no pipeline, no habit of making value visible. They want recognition without a mechanism for recognition. That is not injustice. That is poor positioning. Step 5. Turn repeated work into a productized offer. If people ask for the same thing repeatedly, stop reinventing the wheel. Package it, name it, price it, systemize it. Make your value easier to understand and easier to buy. Confused buyers do not move. They delay. They compare. They ask questions. They disappear. A productized offer reduces confusion. It tells the market what you do, who it is for, what problem it solves, what result it aims at, how it works, and why it is worth paying for. This does not mean lying. This does not mean exaggerating. This does not mean promising miracles. It means turning your skill into a clear structure. A man who cannot package his value often gets underpaid for it, because the market does not only reward ability, it rewards understandable ability. Step 6. Save aggressively to buy optionality. Savings are not just money. Savings are psychological freedom. Savings let you reject disrespect. Savings let you negotiate. Savings let you leave bad environments. Savings let you survive slow months. Savings let you invest in tools, education, experiments, and time. The man with no cash buffer is easy to control. He may call himself independent, but one emergency can make him obedient. He may hate his job, but no savings keep him trapped. He may despise a client, but no buffer makes him tolerate humiliation. He may want to build, but financial panic keeps pulling him back into survival. Optionality is power, not because money makes you better than others, but because money gives your decisions breathing room. A desperate man negotiates poorly. A man with options can remain calm. Step 7. Convert cash into assets, systems, or ownership. This is where survival begins turning into sovereignty. Not fake luxury, not rented status, not spending money to look rich for people who do not matter. Assets, systems, equity, tools, audience, products, investments, intellectual property, owned processes, owned relationships, owned distribution, things that increase future power. The goal is not to appear rich. The goal is to become harder to control. There is a difference. Fake status consumes cash to impress strangers. Real leverage uses cash to buy time, skill, distribution, systems, ownership, and freedom. That is the stack. Skill, problem, proof, distribution, offer, optionality. Ownership. Repeat it long enough and you stop being merely hard-working. You become measurable, then visible, then trusted, then difficult to replace, then expensive to ignore. This is the identity shift. You are not a victim because no one sees your potential. You are responsible for making your potential visible. That sentence will offend the weak part of you. Good. Let it offend the part that still wants to be discovered. Let it offend the part that still wants approval before action. Let it offend the part that believes suffering should automatically create reward. You are not noble because you are exhausted. You are powerful when your exhaustion produces evidence. You are not ahead because you consume knowledge. You are ahead when knowledge becomes behavior, behavior becomes proof, and proof becomes leverage. You are not building wealth because you are busy. You are building wealth when your work creates assets, access, reputation, distribution, savings, systems, ownership, or bargaining power. Stop being the hard worker hoping to be noticed. That man is too passive, too dependent, too easy to underpay, too easy to replace. Become the strategic builder, the man who turns pressure into skill, skill into proof, proof into distribution, distribution into income, income into assets, assets into freedom. This is how abandonment becomes power. Not by complaining that nobody helped you, not by romanticizing loneliness, not by pretending you are superior because you are isolated. Isolation does not automatically make you strong. Pain does not automatically make you deep. Discipline does not automatically make you rich. Everything depends on conversion. Can you convert isolation into focus? Can you convert focus into skill? Can you convert skill into proof? Can you convert proof into trust? Can you convert trust into distribution? Can you convert distribution into cash flow? Can you convert cash flow into assets? Can you convert assets into sovereignty? That is the ladder, not emotion. Conversion. Machiavelli wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, but understand this correctly. In your world, this does not mean making people afraid of you. It does not mean cruelty. It does not mean threats. It does not mean becoming a loud, insecure man performing dominance. It means becoming a man. The market fears losing. An employer should fear losing your competence. A client should fear losing your results. An audience should fear missing your insight. A network should fear excluding your value. Not because you threaten them, because your proof has weight, because your absence has cost, because your value is no longer theoretical. That is power without noise. This is the opposite of begging to be understood. A man begging to be understood is still negotiating from weakness. He wants people to believe his future before he has produced evidence in the present. He wants emotional credit for imagined potential. He wants the world to treat his inner identity as if it were already public fact. But the world does not owe your potential belief. It responds to evidence. So stop trying to convince people that you are becoming dangerous. Build until the argument becomes unnecessary. Stop explaining the plan to people who do not control the path. Build the path. Stop trying to make doubters feel guilty. Make their doubt irrelevant. Stop waiting for permission from people who would not know what to do with your ambition if you handed it to them. Make your ambition measurable. This is the cold gift of leverage. It shifts you from emotional dependence to structural power. The man without leverage needs people to like him. The man with leverage needs his proof to speak. The man without leverage needs permission. The man with leverage creates alternatives. The man without leverage fears being rejected. The man with leverage studies rejection as data. The man without leverage waits to be chosen. The man with leverage builds until choosing him becomes rational. So if you ask, how do I become rich fast? The answer is not to find a shortcut. The answer is to build leverage faster than ordinary men build excuses. Every week, ask yourself 4 questions. What skill did I sharpen? What proof did I create? Who saw it? What asset did it build? If you cannot answer those 4 questions, you are not building wealth. You are only staying busy. And busy men are easy to control because they are too tired to think strategically. The unsupported man has no room for romantic illusions. No one is coming to discover you. No one is coming to explain your value. No one is coming to rescue your wasted years. Good. That means no one owns your rise, but you must build the evidence. Because in the end, the world does not reward the man who suffered quietly. It rewards the man who turned suffering into structure. Structure into skill. Skill into proof. Proof into leverage. And leverage into freedom. Now, do not just consume this and leave unchanged. Build your leverage stack below. Name your skill. Name the painful market problem it solves. Name the proof you will create this week. Name your distribution channel. Name the asset you are building next. If you cannot name them, you are not building wealth yet. You are only working. And here is the next trap. Most men do not fail because they refuse to work. They fail because they choose the wrong skill, solve the wrong problem, build proof nobody sees, or chase ownership before they have earned the structure to hold it. So watch the next video on the screen if you want to know which high-value skill to build first when nobody is coming to help you. Hard work keeps you useful. Leverage makes you difficult to replace. Build the proof. Build the system. Build anyway.